All right, YouTube, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. Thursday night football week number 15. Think we should have a good one on our hands here. We got the 49ers taking on the Rams. In this video, I'm going to dive into this game. I'm going to give you my prediction on the side. I'll give you my prediction on the total. We'll talk about any other plays like player props. I got a couple as of right now that I'm eyeing as well that I want to share with you. But as always, guys, keep an eye down on the pinned comment of this video. That'll take you to my final plays absolutely free if you are interested in what I'm actually rolling with myself. Make sure to keep an eye down on the pinned comment. In terms of how we did in week number 14, yet another profitable NFL week in terms of final plays. So 14 weeks in the books, only 3 weeks we've come out in the red. The rest, 11 of them, we've come out in the green, up 30.11 units so far in the NFL. Now, I will say, a lot of those weeks have been like this, 0.58 profit, right? It's not like we're absolutely crushing in it, rolling in it. Like, no. 0.58 isn't really getting us anywhere, but it sure as heck beats a red number, right? So we shall take the profit again. 0.58 units last week. We had a good Thursday night football, a really good Sunday, and then Monday night football kicked us in the you-know-whats. But hey, we will take the green week there. Before we do jump into this game, I do want to talk playoff implications because we do have two NFC West teams playing, and this game definitely matters. The Rams right now, 34% chance of making the playoffs, right? If they lose, 23%. If they win this one, now it's a 50%, which is obviously a major jump. The 49ers, pretty much a must-win for them as well. They are obviously in a worse position right now, just a 7% chance of making the playoffs, but if they lose, less than 1%, like they're out, right? This is their season. If they win, there's still a small chance. So I did want to throw that out there that this game does really matter to this division, obviously. Maybe more so for the Rams because if they win, they have a legitimate shot. But on the 49ers side of things, it keeps their season somewhat alive, right? So before we do get to our side play and our total and our player props and all that, I do want to kind of go through these defensive schemes and how Brock Purdy plays or should play against this Rams defense, as well as how Matthew Stafford should fare against the San Francisco defense. So let's start with Purdy versus the Rams defense. This Rams defense pressures a ton, 12th highest pressure rate over the last 4 weeks, the 10th highest blitz rate. They do not get to the quarterback, though, in terms of sack. Third fewest sacks over the last few weeks in terms of percentage. In terms of coverage, they don't really play anything too strong. They play plenty of zone, plenty of man, plenty of 2 high safety, 1 high safety, that type of thing. So what I really wanted to look at was Brock Purdy versus the pressure, right? So Brock Purdy on the season, 73.2% completion rate. In the last 4 weeks, 73.2% completion percentage. Everything we looked at was last 4 weeks. I feel like that's a good sample size. Against the blitz, stays right around the same. Against pressure, stays right around the same. When we talk about pressure, it's going to impact his yards per attempt, success rate, accuracy rate, turnover throw, EPA, so expected points added, and his DVOA when against pressure. Some of those numbers drop really, really drastically, like his DVOA from a 22% upgrade, right, to a minus 106%. I don't even know how that makes sense. I thought the site was glitching. You even look at his EPA, 24.1 on the season, right? That is expected points added as an individual. Against pressure, minus 11.97. So pressure should be a problem for Brock Purdy here overall, but even flipping over to the Rams side of things. So yes, when you first look at that, you're like, wow, okay, the Rams getting points. Brock Purdy not exactly in the best ideal situation for him. This should be a Rams spot. Not exactly so fast. Let's look over at the 49ers defense and how Stafford should kind of fit with that. So the 49ers defense, they do not blitz. They do not cause a lot of pressure. They have been sacking the quarterback, but again, blitz and pressure, nothing that we have to necessarily worry about. They do play a ton of zone, and they run a lot of 1 high safety looks, way more than 2. So Stafford, if we look at those two situations, right, versus zone, he does have a higher accuracy percentage, completion percentage. Honestly, some of his numbers go up marginally. But the minute we look at a 1 high safety look, which is what in the last 4 weeks the 49ers have been running, Matthew Stafford quite literally stinks. His completion percentage drops 11%. His success rate drops 11.5%. His accuracy goes down drastically too, from 77% down to 60%. His EPA drops significantly from 59.7 down to 3.48, and his DVOA goes from a positive 49% to a negative 5.7%. So both quarterbacks are in what I would consider the farthest from ideal situation against these defense. And you look at the run games, both run games have been okay, I guess we can say, right? Rams getting better as of late. So last 3 games, 128.3 rushing yards per game. In fact, let's just jump into the dashboard. We could see it. 128 rushing yards per game right here for the Rams last 3. On the season, San Francisco's been looking good. We can talk about injuries. Obviously, no C-Mac. And then Garendo also, or whatever the heck his name is, right? Garendo is also listed as questionable. We'll see if he does play. Trent Williams also listed as questionable. So a couple injuries there. But both run games might be able to be the focus here. Now, do I think that the run games are good enough to take this game away and absolutely run up and down the field on each other? Not necessarily. So let's get into our picks here in terms of the spread as well as the total, and then we'll get to player props. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. I feel like we're rambling here, but we're getting into good stuff. So hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, drop your favorite plays down in the comments. My number one play in this spot is probably going to be considering the under. Like I mentioned, both quarterbacks are not exactly in the best situation here, right? And even from a San Francisco DVOA perspective, their pass defense has actually been pretty good, in all honesty. 4th best in terms of DVOA rankings. You come over here to look at their last 3 games. Yeah, number 1 passing defense if you look at it from a passing yards per game perspective. Now, they've also been passed on the fewest, so that's fair. And then even from the Rams' perspective, their defense, right? 16th in terms of passing yards per game. So both defenses should be well adapted to the pass, but the defenses against the rush have been pretty damn bad. 3rd worst in the last 3 weeks in terms of rushing yards per game against the 49ers, and then the 2nd worst on the Rams side of things. I like the under. That's going to be my main look in this one. If both teams should struggle to pass the ball and all they're going to want to do is pound the rock, then I like the under. Now, the defenses have been letting up runs like you read about, right? But still, that's going to chew the clock and everything down. We do have a total of 50 here. So give me the under 50 as my main lean in this game. Keep an eye on the final plays to see if we do end up rolling with that. If we look at it from a spread perspective, and I hate to keep harping on the quarterback versus defense situation, but that really is where I spend most of my focus on this one, because I truly do believe that is the most apparent things in here. If you look at it from the surface, you think Purdy and Matthew Stafford, you're like, oh my God, these guys are good. You look deeper into it, neither one is they're in quite literally the worst ideal situation. So I do kind of sit there and say, well, what is the lesser of 2 evils, right? Like, if we look at Matthew Stafford versus what he can expect from a San Francisco defense over the last 4 weeks, we look at Brock Purdy, what can he expect? I think I have to say Brock Purdy's in somewhat of a better situation. And this line is funny, right? Like, I talked about it on H to H with Tassos, which that's out by the time you're watching this on the main channel. If you guys do want to check that out over on the Guy Boston Sports channel. I talked about it with him. This is such a weird line. The Rams have been playing better football. Sure, the 49ers coming off of that win against Chicago, but overall, the Rams kind of turning the corner. Like, you can say, oh, well, the 49ers look good against Chicago. The Rams beat the freaking Bills. You know what I mean? So it's like, that's a big deal, yet they're still here as 2.5-point dogs. Little fishy, right? So I'm gonna trust that could be somewhat of a trappy line. I think a lot of people are gonna jump to the Rams side of things. Give me the 49ers solely because I do believe in the run game, as well as the fact that Brock Purdy just may be in a slightly better situation than Matthew Stafford. But I did go back and forth on this. Like I said, I like the under more than a side here. I really do. Overall, I think that, Matthew Stafford's filthy. They have Puka, they have Cooper, Kyron. Like, they have plenty of guys to be like, okay, well, yeah, all the numbers tell us he could struggle, but they're so talented. So if you are on the Rams, do not let what I'm saying absolutely talk you off of it. I just think that this is a trap line, and, San Francisco's favored by 2.5 for a reason. So give me the under as well as the 49ers on the spread. Kind of pained me to do that. If I do roll with it, I might even just look at the 49ers on the money line. I think you can get them for like minus, let's see, we got updated odds here. Yeah, minus 135 right now over on DK. That even might be the move rather than messing around with those points. That said, I don't know if the points are going to matter. I think this is either a win by the 49ers by 3+ or the Rams win it outright. You know what I mean? So if you are on the Rams, maybe a money line consideration. But let's go ahead and talk some player props. Before we do that, guys, I want to talk to you about Sleeper. They have a Brock Purdy. I know I said he might not be in the ideal situation. I've said that multiple times. I'm going to look pretty damn stupid if he has a good game, or Matthew Stafford has a good game. But it's not the first time we've looked stupid, right? He's not in the most ideal situation, but Sleeper's giving us a square that has him at 5 passing yards. He can have a bad game and still throw for 1 damn yard. And if you are watching this on Wednesday, this comes out on Wednesday afternoon, you're also going to get 2 wild card Wednesday picks from them as well. OG Anunoby, his points plus rebound line is discounted to 18.5. And then Allmark in the NHL, his saves line is down to 20.5. Go take advantage of Sleeper. You have an amazing deposit bonus with them as well right now. Use the link in the pinned comment or in the description, whichever one is easiest for you. It'll auto apply the code and everything, and you'll get all of these discounted squares. Go ahead and check out Sleeper, guys. My favorite thing about them is that each and every entry that you place and the picks you put into entry has its own dynamic payout. They don't follow a fixed payout structure like all the other apps out there. I think that's really, really unique and really, really cool. So go ahead and check out Sleeper. That link is going to be in the description as well as the pinned comment. All right, the first player prop we're looking at here, and I gave this on H2H as well. Tassos called me crazy, but I really love this spot. Cooper Kupp under 11.5 first quarter receiving yards. You can see San Francisco, 2 wide receivers, the 3rd fewest yards allowed, right? And he's only hit the over here 3 times this season. He's averaging 8.3 receiving yards per game in the first quarter. So I do really like the spot. One thing that I'll say is, yes, get it out of the way. First quarter receiving yards, especially a line this low, you catch one ball, run with it, and it can be over, right? But you can flip it and say, I don't think he's going to have the volume. I don't really mind Cooper Kupp for the entire game, you know what I mean? I don't think that this is going to be a pass-heavy game. I've already mentioned that, but I don't mind him. Look at those numbers compared to, all of a sudden, 5 of 9 of his normal receiving yards, but first quarter receiving yards, 3 of 9, right? So I don't mind looking at his overs for the rest of the game, but first quarter, based on everything I said about how these two teams and comfortable Matt Stafford should be, comfortable Brock Purdy, I think both teams come into this game trying to maintain possession and honestly running the ball right off the rip. So Cooper Kupp, I don't think he's going to have the volume to get that over 11.5. I also considered Puka Nacua. Let's see if we can get to that one. Him as well. Like, I've punted around the idea of maybe rolling with him and then also parlaying them together, that type of thing. First quarter, let's see, first quarter receiving. But look at him. He clearly is the go-to guy in the first quarter. He's hit the over in 6 of 10. We'd be looking at under, so I don't necessarily love that. Last time he played San Francisco, 28 as well. So yeah, I've thought about this because I do think that we're gonna have less volume in terms of pass attempts to the wide receivers at the beginning of the game. I'm probably more comfortable with Cooper Kupp, though, just because the hit rate is also there for him as well. You know what I mean? So right then and there, I think Cooper Kupp is probably, I would say, a definite final play. Puka Nacua, I'm still kind of kicking around. If my game theory is correct, then yeah, we could cash both. But even if the game theory is not correct, it looks like Cooper Kupp doesn't get the targets in the first quarter in the first place, right? Next one we're looking at, and I'm probably going to get some hate for this one, Deebo Samuel. He's been the squeaky wheel. If you haven't seen on Twitter, he's talking about, I haven't been struggling, I'm just not getting the ball. And then the ex-community note said, you have the most drops in the entire league. You have been struggling, which is absolutely crazy that community note strikes down on Deebo. But I do believe, and I say it all the time in my videos, I know it's not the best mindset, but I do believe if there's one sport where the squeaky wheel gets the grease and you can be outspoken, it is like I'm not saying Deebo is, but like the diva wide receiver, right? We've seen wide receivers trash talk and say, get me the ball, and then what happens? They draw up plays, try to get them involved, and this is one of the most dynamic guys in the league, never mind on the 49ers, right? So over 4.5 receptions, I don't mind for plus 136. You can see here, he's been getting 5 targets per game, so I don't necessarily mind that. He's on the field plenty. He's going to be involved in rushing and receiving, right? So if you want to look at that, I don't mind his yards there. I probably would just say receiving yards or receptions. I'm looking at receptions solely because of, that plus money, right? Like, I think that this is a buy low spot for Deebo. You could even pay a decent amount of juice here and go over 3.5, which even amidst not getting the ball, he's still cashing 3 of 5. So maybe that's a look for us. Yes, it could be the crazy move. You know what I mean? It's like Deebo's been stinking and struggling, dropping the ball, and then Ev goes and jumps towards him. But again, I think he's been vocal about it. I think he's instrumental to this team. This is a win or literally not literally, but almost literally go home game for the 49ers. I think they put the ball in one of their better players' best hands here. And again, Brock Purdy should get blitzed and pressured a lot. Having Deebo in sort of some of these easy routes or, screen passes and stuff could be huge to beat that defensive scheme. So give me Deebo as well as the under for Cooper Kupp in the first quarter. We might add any final plays, anything that we don't talk about in this video that we do end up rolling with as a final play. I'll make sure to put a little post on it, like a sub bullet on the play on the Guy Boston Sports site with the final plays so that you guys can at least have my rationale and whatnot. But guys, let me know what you're rolling with down in the comments. Again, hit that like like button, hit that subscribe button. If you made it this far in the video, go ahead and comment 14 down in the comments. Appreciate you tuning in, and I'll catch you guys in the next one, all right? Peace out.